So we're continuing to look at the life of Jesus through the eyes of Luke, the gospel writer. And today I want to read from Luke 6, verses 1 to 11. One Sabbath, Jesus was going through the grain fields, and his disciples began to pick some heads of grain, rub it in their hands, and eat the kernels. Some of the Pharisees asked, "Why are you doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath?" Jesus answered them, "Have you never read what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He entered the house of God, and taking the consecrated bread, he ate what is lawful only for priests to eat, and he also gave some to his companions." Then Jesus said to them, "The Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath." On another Sabbath, he went into the synagogue and was teaching, and a man was there whose right hand was shriveled. The Pharisees and the teachers of the law were looking for a reason to accuse Jesus, so they watched him closely to see if he would heal on the Sabbath. But Jesus knew what they were thinking and said to the man with the shriveled hand, "Get up and stand in front of everyone." So he got up and stood there. Then Jesus said to them, "I ask you, which is lawful on the Sabbath? To do good or to do evil? To save life or to destroy it?" He looked around at them all and then said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." And he did so, and his hand was completely restored. But they were furious and began to discuss with one another what they might do to Jesus. So Jesus had some surprising views on the Sabbath. The Sabbath was, of course, the day of rest that happened once a week, every 7 days. You rested. And it was written into the 10 Commandments, so it was considered a pretty big deal. It was one of those things that totally set the Jewish people apart from their neighbors. Other nations had laws like thou shalt not kill or thou shalt not steal, but Sabbath was completely different, given by God to them. So the Jewish teachers of the law made clear exactly what was work and what was not. And those clarifications could get pretty cumbersome. For example, when Jesus and his friends were walking through the field and they picked some grain, that was not considered work. That was okay. But to rub it between their hands and get rid of the chaff part and only have the kernels left, that was considered threshing, work. So yeah, it got pretty particular. Jesus said in Matthew that he had not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it. So we can pretty much believe that he was not breaking God's law. But the Pharisees didn't know that. So even though they were waiting in that field, ready to trip him up, he came up with a precedent immediately that showed that God cares if you're hungry. He doesn't care so much about the work at that point. David's companions and David himself were hungry. They had been fighting battles, and it was the Sabbath, didn't have any food. He went into I guess it would be the tabernacle, since the temple didn't exist, got the consecrated bread with the permission of the priest, and they ate it because they were hungry. God cares about your hunger more than he cares about the Sabbath. On another Sabbath, we read that the Pharisees were again looking for Jesus to mess up. And he kind of walks into their trap, right? He sees what they're thinking, though. This man needed healing of his shriveled right hand. But in theory, healing is work. So Jesus knows what the Pharisees are thinking and jumps in front of the issue rather than waiting until they confront him afterwards. He says to the man with the shriveled hand, "Stand up here in front of everyone." And so the man does. And Jesus asks this pointed question, which is lawful to do on the Sabbath, to do good or to do evil, to save life or to destroy it? Well, what can the teachers of the law and the Pharisees say? He paused dramatically, I'm sure, waited for an answer, got none, and just told the man, "Stretch out your hand." And he did. And it was healed. Now, Jesus didn't touch the man. He didn't do anything that looked like work. Stretching out your hand, the man didn't do any work. That's not considered work. But Jesus did do something good on the Sabbath. Meanwhile, the Pharisees were enraged and plotted to do what they could to get rid of Jesus on the Sabbath. In their zeal to keep the law, they broke it. They did evil on the Sabbath with their plotting. And I wish I could say, oh, those nasty Pharisees, thank goodness I'm not like them. But I am. I will be so caught up in how I want things done, for example, in our church, that I can get upset about it. I can act badly in order to get my own way. That's not doing the right thing. That's not worshipful. I can get caught up in politics in my home country, the United States, and say, I want justice, I want fairness in the laws, and I want them executed fairly as well. But if I overreact to the people who disagree with me, my self-righteousness turns into evil. Jesus says the bottom line is that he is Lord of the Sabbath. And the bottom line is that Jesus is the Lord of my life. How these earthly things are accomplished is less important than that we do good and not evil, that we save life and don't destroy it. Amen.